Listen to me, leadership ain't about titles. It ain't about how many people follow you. Leadership is about impact. It's about how you make others better because you showed up. Lead by example. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. You want your team to work hard, you better be the first one in and the last one out. You want excellence, then you set the standard. Don't talk about it, be about it too. Serve before you lead. Real leaders don't sit at the top, they lift others up. Leadership is about service. It's about putting the needs of your team before your own. You don't demand respect, you earn it by showing people you care. 3, be relentless in growth. The moment you stop learning, you stop leading. You can't lead people to the next level if you're stuck at the same level. Read, learn, get mentors, stretch yourself. The best leaders are the best learners. Leadership is not about words, it is about action. It is not about telling people what to do, but showing them the way through your own behavior. The most effective leaders lead by example, demonstrating the values, work ethic, and attitude they expect from others. This principle is timeless and applies to every aspect of leadership, whether in business, sports, education, or personal life. If you want to become a great leader, you must first look in the mirror and ask yourself if you are living up to the standards you set for others. If you demand excellence, you must embody excellence. If you expect dedication, you must be the most dedicated person in the room. Leadership starts with you. One of the biggest mistakes people make when stepping into leadership roles is believing that authority alone earns them respect. A title might give you a position, but it does not make you a leader. People do not follow titles. They follow character, consistency, and commitment. When they see a leader who works harder than anyone else, who's the first to take responsibility and the last to take credit, they naturally respect and follow that person. Leadership is about action, not authority. You do not inspire people by telling them what to do. You inspire them by showing them what is possible through your own behavior. Consider the greatest leaders in history, figures like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., or Nelson Mandela. They did not just give speeches or issue commands. They lived their principles every single day. Gandhi did not just tell people to resist oppression peacefully. He led nonviolent protests himself, even when it meant going to prison. Martin Luther King Jr. did not just talk about equality. He marched, he sacrificed, and he put himself in harm's way to fight for justice. Nelson Mandela did not just demand reconciliation after apartheid. He forgave those who imprisoned him for 27 years and led by example to unite a divided nation. Their leadership was not just in their words, but in their actions. And that is why people followed them. In a business environment, leading by example means setting the tone for your team. If you want a culture of hard work, you must be the hardest worker. If you want a culture of integrity, you must be the most honest person in the organization. If you want people to be passionate about the work, you must show passion every single day. Employees and team members are constantly observing their leaders, consciously or unconsciously. They notice if the leader is cutting corners, avoiding responsibilities, or lacking enthusiasm. A leader who demands high performance but does not put in the effort will quickly lose the respect of their team. On the other hand, when people see a leader who is deeply committed, who works tirelessly, who takes responsibility, they are naturally motivated to follow suit. Leading by example also applies to handling adversity. Anyone can lead when things are going well, but true leadership is tested in difficult times. When challenges arise, a real leader does not panic, complain, or blame others. Instead, they stay composed, analyze the situation, and take decisive action. When a leader remains calm under pressure, it reassures the team and keeps them focused. If a leader shows resilience and determination, the team will adopt the same mindset. But if a leader becomes frustrated and negative, that attitude will spread like wildfire. Leadership is about setting the emotional tone as much as it is about making decisions. In sports, the best team captains and coaches are those who lead by example. Think of legendary athletes like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or Cristiano Ronaldo. Their leadership was not just about giving motivational speeches in the locker room. It was about showing up before everyone else, staying later than anyone else, and pushing themselves harder than anyone else. When teammates saw their relentless work ethic, they were inspired to match that intensity. Leadership in sports is not about demanding effort. It's about demonstrating effort so that others feel compelled to follow. The same principle applies in parenting. Parents who want their children to be disciplined, respectful, and hardworking cannot simply tell them to be that way. Children learn by observing, not just by listening. A parent who wakes up early, works hard, and treats others with kindness sets a powerful example for their children. On the other hand, a parent who tells their kids to be responsible but does not take care of their own responsibilities sends a conflicting message. Leadership in the family is about modeling the behavior you want to see in your children. Another critical aspect of leading by example is humility. A great leader does not place themselves above others. They work alongside their team. They do not ask others to do things they are not willing to do themselves. When a leader is willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work, it earns respect and loyalty. Employees, team members, or followers do not feel like they are being commanded. They feel like they are being led by someone who understands their struggles and is in the trenches with them. The best leaders also take responsibility for failures and share credit for success. It is easy to take credit when things go well, but a true leader stands up and takes ownership when things go wrong. They do not blame others, make excuses, or deflect accountability. Instead, they acknowledge mistakes, learn from them, and move forward. This level of integrity earns trust because people see that the leader is not just looking out for themselves, but for the entire team. One of the most powerful effects of leading by example is that it creates a culture of leadership at every level. When people see a leader who consistently acts with integrity, discipline, and commitment, they begin to adopt those qualities themselves. Over time, this creates a ripple effect where leadership becomes ingrained in an organization, team, or community. People start holding themselves to higher standards, not because they are being forced to, but because they have been inspired to. This principle also applies to innovation and creativity. Leaders who want to encourage risk-taking and new ideas must first demonstrate a willingness to step outside their comfort zones. If a leader is afraid to take risks, the team will also be hesitant. If a leader embraces challenges and is willing to fail in pursuit of growth, the team will feel empowered to do the same. Leadership is not about demanding courage. It is about demonstrating it. The reality is, leading by example is not always easy. It requires constant self-discipline, self-reflection, and self-improvement. It means being aware that every action you take is being watched and that your behavior sets the standard for everyone around you. It requires patience because change does not happen overnight. It demands perseverance because there will be moments when it feels like no one is following, when your efforts are not immediately recognized, and when the burden of leadership feels heavy, but the reward is worth it. When you lead by example, you build a team, an organization, or a community that does not just follow orders, but is inspired to take ownership and excel. Great leaders are not born, they are made through consistent effort and intentional action. If you want to be a leader who truly impacts people, start with yourself. Be the person you want your team to be. Work as hard as you expect others to work. Show the dedication, integrity, and perseverance you want to see in those around you. Because at the end of the day, leadership is not about what you say, it is about what you do. And when you lead by example, you do not have to force people to follow. They will choose to follow because they see something in you that inspires them to be better. Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about serving those you lead. The greatest leaders in history have understood this fundamental truth. Leadership is not about power, but about responsibility. It is about putting the needs of others before your own, ensuring that the people around you have the tools, motivation, and support they need to succeed. The moment a leader begins to see themselves as more important than the people they lead, they cease to be a true leader. Instead, they become a figurehead, disconnected from the very individuals who make success possible. Real leadership is about service. A leader who serves before they lead earns the respect and trust of their team. People follow leaders not because of their title, but because of their actions. When a leader prioritizes the well-being, growth, and development of their team, they create an environment where people feel valued, supported, and empowered. This kind of leadership builds loyalty because it shows that the leader is not just in it for themselves, but for the collective success of everyone involved. It is not about demanding respect. It is about earning it through genuine care and service. One of the most powerful ways to serve as a leader is by listening. Many leaders make the mistake of believing their job is to talk, to give orders, to dictate every move. But great leaders understand that the best way to lead is by first understanding the needs, challenges, and ideas of their team. Listening actively, without interrupting or dismissing concerns, shows people that their voices matter. When people feel heard, they feel valued. And when they feel valued, they're far more likely to be engaged, motivated, and committed to the leader's vision. True leadership is not about having all the answers. It is about being willing to learn from those you lead. Serving before leading also means being willing to do the work alongside your team. A leader who expects others to work hard while they sit back and watch is not a leader. They are simply a boss. Real leaders are willing to roll up their sleeves, get involved, and set the example. When a leader is seen working just as hard, if not harder than their team, it creates a culture of respect and accountability. People are inspired by leaders who do not see themselves as above the work, but as part of the effort. This attitude creates a sense of unity where everyone, regardless of rank or title, is working toward the same goal. Another critical aspect of serving before leading is recognizing and developing the potential in others. A selfish leader hoards opportunities, seeking personal success without concern for the growth of their team. A true leader, however, sees their role as one of mentorship and development. They take the time to identify strengths in their team members, offer guidance, provide opportunities for growth, and invest in their success. When a leader helps others rise, the entire organization rises. Leadership is not about being the best in the room. It is about making everyone around you better. Humility is at the heart of servant leadership. A leader who serves understands that their role is not about personal glory, but about lifting others up. This means being willing to admit mistakes, take responsibility for failures, and put the needs of the team above personal ambition. A leader who refuses to admit fault or who shifts blame onto others quickly loses credibility. But a leader who acknowledges their own shortcomings, learns from them, and moves forward with integrity earns respect. Humility also means recognizing that leadership is not about being the smartest person in the room, but about surrounding yourself with talented individuals and empowering them to contribute their ideas and expertise. One of the biggest challenges of leadership is making tough decisions that affect others. A leader who serves does not make decisions based solely on personal gain or convenience. They make decisions based on what is best for the people they lead. This means considering the impact of every action, ensuring fairness, and being willing to make sacrifices for the greater good. Sometimes this means putting in extra effort to support a struggling team member, taking the time to mentor someone who needs guidance, or making difficult choices that prioritize the long-term well-being of the organization over short-term benefits. Leadership requires a selfless mindset, one that constantly asks, how can I help, instead of what do I get? Empathy is another key quality of a leader who serves before they lead. A leader who lacks empathy is disconnected from their team, making decisions without considering how they affect the people involved. But a leader who truly cares takes the time to understand the struggles, motivations, and emotions of those they lead. This does not mean being weak or overly emotional. It means recognizing that leadership is about people. It is about ensuring that individuals feel supported, encouraged, and motivated. When a leader leads with empathy, they create a culture of trust where people feel safe to express their ideas, take risks, and grow. Trust is one of the most valuable assets a leader can have, and it is built through service. People do not trust leaders who prioritize their own interests over the well-being of the team. But they do trust leaders who consistently demonstrate that they care. Trust is not built overnight. It is developed through consistent actions, through showing up every day and proving that you are invested in the success of others. A leader who serves earns the loyalty of their team because they have demonstrated time and time again that they are committed to the greater good. In any leadership role, there will be moments of crisis, times when the pressure is high and uncertainty looms. It is in these moments that the character of a leader is truly tested. A leader who serves before they lead remains steady under pressure, not because they have all the answers, but because they have built a foundation of trust and respect. When a leader has consistently put their team first, the team is far more likely to stand by them in difficult times. People rally behind leaders who have shown that they genuinely care. A leader who serves also creates other leaders. Instead of seeking control, they empower others to take on leadership roles, to develop their skills, and to take ownership of their work. This not only strengthens the organization, but also ensures long-term success. When a leader hoards power, they limit the potential of the team. But when they share knowledge, mentor others, and encourage leadership at every level, they create an environment where success is sustainable. Ultimately, the greatest measure of a leader is not what they accomplish personally, but what they help others accomplish. The impact of a leader is seen in the growth, confidence, and success of the people they have served. True leadership is not about seeking recognition. It is about making a difference in the lives of others. It is about being the kind of person that people are proud to follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. Leadership is a privilege, not a right. It is a responsibility that requires dedication, selflessness, and an unwavering commitment to the success of others. The best leaders understand that their role is not to stand above people, but to stand beside them, guiding, supporting, and lifting them up. When a leader serves first, they create a legacy that lasts far beyond their time in the role. They inspire others to lead with the same mindset, creating a cycle of service and success that extends far beyond any single individual. The world needs more leaders who are willing to serve before they lead. It needs leaders who prioritize people over power, who listen more than they speak, and who understand that true leadership is about giving, not taking. If you want to be a leader who truly makes an impact, start by asking yourself one simple question: how can I serve? Because the answer to that question will define the kind of leader you become. Great leaders lead by example, not by words alone. They do not simply tell others what to do, they show them through their own actions. Leadership is not about issuing commands from a position of authority, but about setting the standard for excellence through personal commitment and dedication. People follow leaders who demonstrate integrity, hard work, and accountability because they see those qualities in action. The difference between a true leader and someone who merely holds a title is their ability to inspire others through their behavior. Words can be powerful, but actions always speak louder. One of the most critical aspects of leading by example is maintaining a strong work ethic. A leader who expects their team to work hard but does not put in the same effort will quickly lose credibility. People are far more likely to respect and follow a leader who is willing to put in the time and effort necessary to achieve success. When a leader is seen working diligently, staying late when needed, and handling tasks with dedication, it creates a culture of commitment. The team sees that their leader is not above the work, but is fully engaged in the process. This inspires them to push themselves further because they know they are not alone in their efforts. Integrity is another key element of leading by example. A leader who says one thing but does another will never gain the trust of their team. People look up to leaders who are consistent in their words and actions, who do what they say they will do, and who uphold the same standards they expect from others. Integrity is about honesty, transparency, and following through on commitments. When a leader consistently makes ethical decisions and demonstrates fairness, they set a precedent for the entire organization. This creates an environment where honesty and accountability become the norm. Accountability is a crucial trait of a leader who leads by example. It is easy to take credit for successes, but true leadership is about taking responsibility for failures as well. A leader who blames their team when things go wrong quickly loses respect. But a leader who owns their mistakes, learns from them, and works to improve sets a powerful example. This kind of accountability fosters a culture where people feel safe to take risks, innovate, and grow because they know their leader supports them. It shows that failure is not something to be feared, but an opportunity for learning and progress. Discipline and consistency are essential for leading by example. A leader cannot expect their team to be disciplined if they are not disciplined themselves. This means showing up on time, meeting deadlines, and maintaining a high standard of performance every day. Consistency in behavior and decision-making builds trust because people know what to expect from their leader. A leader who is unpredictable or erratic in their actions creates uncertainty and confusion. But a leader who remains steady and dependable fosters confidence in the team. A great leader also sets an example in how they treat others. Respect, kindness, and empathy are not signs of weakness, they are signs of strength. A leader who treats their team with dignity and listens to their concerns creates a positive work environment where people feel valued. This, in turn, leads to higher morale, greater loyalty, and better performance. When a leader leads with respect, they encourage a culture where everyone treats each other with the same level of consideration. This not only improves teamwork, but also creates a more inclusive and supportive atmosphere. Leading by example also means having the courage to make tough decisions. A leader who avoids difficult choices or shifts responsibility to others is not truly leading. A strong leader demonstrates decisiveness, even in challenging situations. They show their team that difficult decisions must be faced with confidence and integrity. This does not mean acting recklessly, but rather making thoughtful, informed choices that align with the values and goals of the team. A leader who consistently makes fair and principled decisions gains the trust and respect of those they lead. Communication is another area where leading by example is essential. A leader who expects their team to communicate openly and effectively must first model that behavior themselves. This means being clear, direct, and transparent in discussions. It also means listening actively and encouraging open dialogue. When a leader communicates well, they set the tone for how the entire team interacts. Clear communication reduces misunderstandings, prevents conflicts, and ensures that everyone is on the same page. Resilience is one of the most powerful ways to lead by example. Every leader will face challenges, setbacks, and failures. The way they respond to these difficulties sets the tone for the entire team. A leader who remains positive, focused, and determined in the face of adversity shows their team that obstacles can be overcome. They inspire perseverance and problem solving by demonstrating that setbacks are not the end, but rather opportunities for growth. This resilience creates a culture where challenges are seen as stepping stones to success rather than insurmountable barriers. Adaptability is another trait that great leaders demonstrate through their actions. The world is constantly changing, and a leader who refuses to adapt will struggle to stay relevant. A leader who embraces change, learns new skills, and remains open to new ideas sets an example for their team. This encourages a culture of continuous learning and innovation. When a leader shows that they are willing to grow and evolve, it inspires their team to do the same. Adaptability is not about abandoning principles, but about finding new ways to achieve goals in an ever-changing environment. A leader who leads by example also understands the importance of work-life balance. While dedication and hard work are crucial, burnout benefits no one. A leader who demonstrates the ability to manage their time effectively, take care of their health, and encourage their team to do the same creates a healthier, more productive work environment. If a leader constantly pushes themselves and their team to the point of exhaustion, it sets an unhealthy precedent. But if they prioritize well-being, they encourage their team to do the same, resulting in long-term success. Another important aspect of leading by example is fostering a culture of collaboration. A leader who works well with others, values different perspectives, and encourages teamwork sets a powerful example. They show that leadership is not about being the most dominant voice in the room, but about bringing people together to achieve a common goal. Collaboration leads to better ideas, stronger solutions, and a more cohesive team. When a leader demonstrates a willingness to learn from others and work as part of a team, it reinforces the idea that success is a shared effort. Leaders who lead by example also recognize and celebrate the achievements of their team. A leader who takes all the credit for success undermines morale, but a leader who acknowledges and rewards the efforts of others builds motivation and trust. When a leader takes the time to recognize hard work and celebrate accomplishments, it shows that they truly value their team. This fosters a positive work culture where people feel appreciated and inspired to continue giving their best. Ultimately, leading by example is about embodying the qualities that you want to see in others. It is about being the kind of leader that people are proud to follow. Leadership is not about position or power. It is about influence. And the most effective way to influence others is through actions, not just words. When a leader demonstrates integrity, hard work, accountability, respect, resilience, adaptability, and teamwork, they inspire those around them to do the same. People do not follow titles, they follow character. They follow leaders who prove through their actions that they are worthy of being followed. The most successful teams, organizations, and movements are led by individuals who understand this truth. They know that leadership is not about standing above people, but about walking alongside them. They know that trust is not demanded, but earned. And they know that the best way to inspire others is to first set the example themselves. When a leader leads by example, they create a culture where excellence is not an expectation imposed from the top, but a shared value embraced by all. That is the mark of true leadership.